Welcome back to the Morning Show here on the Rise News. Joining us now is Chief Olabode George, the de facto leader of the People's Democratic Party in Lagos State. The leading governorship candidate, Jimmy Agbaje, is in yet another attempt to wrest Lagos State from the All Progressive Congress. I want to say welcome to the Morning Show this morning.
Always my pleasure.
As we build up to the elections, in another 4 days, we'll be having another governorship election. Let's all start off by asking, what are the chances of the PDP? Are they looking greater or slimmer as the day goes by?
Much greater. And I tell you why. If you have a system ongoing for about 20 years and the despondency among the people is rising, if you go into the various local governments, I take an example, my own local government, Lagos Island. The level of poverty, the hopelessness in the environment, it's unbelievable. I was born there. I grew up there, went to school there, primary school, secondary school, the university. Started my first job there before I went to live in the barracks. Now going back there, with that memory, it is so bad. You look at these young, able-bodied men, there's no future, there's no job, there's no skill acquisition, there is nothing. They wake up in the morning, what do they do? And that is just Lagos Island, which is not the biggest. Now, if you now move into the hinterland, to the other local government, especially go to Alimosho local government, Mushin, Oshodi Solo. Now, you wonder what the government has done in 20 years. Where is the future for these kids? You know, what you are doing is you are building up a gunpowder, a keg of gunpowder, that when it explodes, the distance, and as I was driving back home, the distance from Lagos Island to Ikoyi is not far. In 20 minutes, they'll be in Ikoyi. If they are dissatisfied, we are in hell. So we need a change. We had this, the Emperor of Babylon, who has completely turned the definition of democracy into the government by himself, with his wife, for his family, rather than the government for the people, by the people, for the people. And it is, what am I else looking forward to now? I'm a grandfather, I'm in my mid-70s. Is this the Lagos that we grew up to meet? Would my parents, if we had been like this, many of us would have ended up in hell. So there is need for people. When I'm not talking now about anything personal. I'm talking about the state of the society. It is degrading. It is deficient. It is, you know, it calls for concern for all Nigerians. And I'm talking now about Lagos State. If you go to all the other states and listen to your debates, your discussions, what is happening in Zamfara? Joblessness. Why would a kid not join? Because he wakes up in the morning, has nothing to do. They're not in school. Even if you finish school, there is no job. So what you do, if you hear, oh, hey, they are on the track. Very easily available.
Chief, like, if I were to reiterate my question again.
Yeah.
As it's almost 4 days. We are just 4 days away from the election. You've highlighted several of the problems.
So we are ready.
Yeah, so the question is
are we ready?
PDP the best candidate or the best party to solve all these problems, knowing that severally there have been attempts by the PDP to try to solve these problems, but it seems the electorate in Lagos State think differently than what the PDP are saying.
That is not the issue. If we run a free, fair election, let the will of the people prevail. Please respect the will of the people. We saw the charade that went on last week. in Lagos. I was in the military. I know we have an operation we call aid to civil power. Because it's not every time you see the soldiers on the streets. It's only when you have a breakdown where the police can no longer function properly, they inform the Inspector General of Police, who will inform the CNC that, look, here we are, we cannot cope anymore. So there is a procedure of taking over operation. In the past, we had asked the military to stand by, distance from the center of operation. But this last one, I can mention to you Etiosa, Ojo, and some other places where the collation center was surrounded by the army. The army surrounding election centers. In the past, all they did was patrolling to make sure that you are not allowed to move freely unless you are authorized. Now, the police, in fact, that's, I think about in the area there, the army was controlling the traffic. That's not our job. So let us retain the ethics. Let us retain the standard. Let us retain what we are trained to do, our boys. Otherwise, people will say, these military people are back. This is a democratic dispensation. And I want to plead that as we head into these local elections, I call them local because it is governorship and state assembly. Let us be fair to ourselves. You never know what can happen. And I'm pleading, you cannot be top of the pops all the time. When the people say it's time out, allow it. What is 4 years in the life of a country? And you are now, you at your own convenience. You remove a governor, you hand-pick those who go to the state of... So what do we have in my state, for God's sake? So as we are going, we are ready. And all these things I'm telling you, we not only practiced them before. Remember, there was the skill acquisition program of President Jonathan. A lot of the people in Lagos State benefited from. They were trained in Firo, in Oshodi, for skill acquisition, tailoring, dressmaking, carpentry, masonry, those skills that these kids, you go there, you pay about 10,000 naira. If you don't, the society supports you to go there. We were supporting the boys to go and train. After about 3-4 weeks, you have finished your training, then they take you into a pool, like a cooperative, and they give you soft, free loans to start up your business. What has happened to it? They budgeted about 200 billion naira for that program. Where is it now? Zoop, it's disappeared. So there must be a deliberate attempt by the government to assist the people, the younger generation. As I'm aging and old, I look around and I said, yeah, this is the same place I grew up. Like I said, our party is ready in every ramification. And the beauty of it is this, that you have the CUPP, a congregation of political parties coming together. And I want to plead with them. Let them look around. Don't go there and split your votes. Let them meet. Let them take a decision. that one of them should go for it. We haven't gotten to that age where winner takes all. We are still developing. We are still building our democracy. So let one person go, and then, you have At the end of the day, if you win, you now bring everybody into governance. Everybody will have a share of the cake. But if you think it is you alone all the time, in fact, the way the Almighty God designs, anything that has a beginning must have an end. And let it be a very, very useful end.
Well, you've highlighted that the despondency of people is on the increase. Your party is ready.
Oh, yeah.
But a lot has happened in the last 3 months of campaigns. There are those who say that the popularity of your candidate, Jimmy Agbaje, has waned. And then there's been the emergence of a third popular candidate of the ADP, Mr. Gbadamosi, who was a part of your party one time ago. Does this worry your party that your chances are not slimmer? Because Gbadamosi seems to be the beautiful bride going into this election.
I tell you what, I remember when he came to me about 2015, that he wanted to run for governorship. I told him that I advised him. He came for advice. And I told him, Tunde, look, why don't you allow your older brother, Agbaje, to go? Then you would have become more matured. And because of that, he got angry, and they went for the primaries, and he was beaten. Jimmy beat him. But now that people have been talking, his party also belongs to the CUPP. Let those people meet. Let them decide. Yes, I've listened to their debates, I've watched their programs and all that. And somebody said to me, he said, oh, the future of Nigeria is now for the younger generation, 40 years and below. And I said, hey, with that, you mean Jimmy is that old enough not to contest? But honestly, all the two parties are also part of this same CUPP I'm talking about. And in the interest of the state, they could come together, let those who manage the CUPP, because our party is a member, and ADP, all kinds of parties are there, and let them reduce themselves to one. And if they do that, Jimmy too he has his own losses, and the typical African ways of doing things. Then you go the first time, you go the second time, they may say, wait a minute, are you alone? So he must bring out something that will convince the electorate to trust. That is the major part of this election. You must be able to convince the electorate that out of all these groups that are there, all these individuals, I will be the best. And they have been running them, and since at the national I was signed to be a member of that group, I think that's the most sensible thing for them to do. Whoever is nominated there, we all agreed, we all work together.
You still think that's a possibility 4 days to go to the election?
Why not? If they have not shown the capabilities and the abilities, the CUPP won't be. It is not, now you're zeroing it back to the individuals now.
Yes.
You watch them, the party platforms are there, and since we accepted to be a member of that body, it means the decision there, once it's taken, unless we have something totally, completely different, then whatever decision that is taken there, we all have agreed to go along with it, so that united will be much stronger and will be much better to fight the man who has turned the state into his own private concern.
Okay, Chief George, sir. Looking at the outcome of the presidential polls, the votes, clearly PDP is the number, came second, very close second. So in terms of who should be, if there's an alliance, but what I'm worried about is that perhaps as the leader of the PDP in Lagos, efforts have not been sufficiently made to bring every other candidate to come and back your candidate, because if you have not done that, 3 days to the election, I don't see how that will happen, because all other parties will be on the ballot.
Yeah, they are already
on the ballot.
Yes.
So no matter what you do now, they are there on the ballot. But the other question I also want to add is, because you talk so much about people, how they have not benefited and all that. But a lot of these were the foot soldiers of the ruling party. Yeah. And with the well-oiled, you are a politician, you know the infrastructure of winning election. The other party has it. And it is a well-oiled machinery. Do you stand a chance, sir?
You know,
in the light of all this?
It is very interesting. Let me start from your last presentation. We were in government for 16 years. You think we've lost the luster of the machinery of governance? No. No. In a proper democracy, take Britain. The conservative be in power for some time. You know, when the people get fed up, they allow the system. Then you have Labour government. You have Liberal, you have all that. That is the actual aim of setting up a democratic governance. Because it's not a
multi-party democracy.
Yeah. So that if you had fed up or they haven't performed or they didn't meet the needs as stipulated in their manifesto, you vote them out. Every 4 years, you must go back to renew your mandate. That is the beauty of democracy. Now, having said that, we had, of course, met with all the other political parties. I don't need to bring our strategy into the open, but I want to reassure people that the public have been listening to them on the platform of their political parties, right? And we are saying, now, let us, I won't want to divulge here what we had done, but a lot of work in trying to pull, you know, when we look at the various contenders, and we had one of our old, respectable personality who has waded in. He said, why don't you come together, you know, this individual, that individual, you are all Lagosians. Some of you have even been, you've been in our parties before, so you know the norms. And we did a lot of work on that. But, you know, it is when you are getting closer, you weigh out yourselves, you try to see, do I still have what it takes to beat the tape before your competitor? And all we are saying is that let them look at themselves, all right, through this organization. Make a recommendation. It's not too late. Yes, your name, they cannot remove anybody's name now on the ballot paper. But you know what's in politics? You know, we used to say 24 hours in politics is a long time. In 1 hour, thank God we have all the cell phones and you have this. The information can travel pretty fast because this is Lagos.
All right, there's a strategy somewhere.
Absolutely.
Cheese is actually I'm sure your supporters will be glad to hear this. But looking at other socio-political groups and the royal fathers in Lagos who actually hold a little bit of might to probably influence the electorate. Just recently, some few days ago, the Ohaneze Idigbo group came out to endorse the APC candidate. We've seen royal fathers endorsing the APC candidate. And we look at this, and it's almost looking like it is APC versus others in Lagos. Even though you come together, if all these factors play into the elections, how will the PDP still stand a chance?
You know, when I hear Ohaneze, I want to take a little bit a step back. The last election, I don't even remember what date of the week we are now, but that last election, when our colleagues from the East were de-enfranchised, and they went the following Monday, these hoodlums, encouraged by the emperor, prevented them from opening their shops in Mushi, you know, that spare parts area, in Oshodi Solo, towards Okota and all that. And when you talk, I only know of one Ohaneze, President General of the Ohaneze, and the Secretary General. They are all my friends. They came around. And when they were being threatened of their livelihood in Lagos, I wrote against it, and I stood up against that decision. And if, because everybody wants peace, because if you are old enough like me to remember the crisis that led to the Civil War, and for God's sake, this is my state. We had never discriminated against any tribe. And that is why the Lagos being the center of excellence, it is also the center of commerce in West Africa. We accommodate people to bring your wares, because, you know, before Lagos State was created, when we only had Lagos, we don't do agriculture here. The only thing we did was just fishing and then trading. And we have a saying that as long as Engbeti, you know, Engbeti is the end of Broad Street, that as long as Engbeti is not in turmoil, Lagos will never go down. Which means you allow everybody to bring their wares to here. That's what we live on. That's what we benefit on. Agric is far down. Thank God they now added the Ekpe, Ikorodu, and all the Badagry to Lagos. That's where you have some modicum of agriculture. But our major source of income is buying and selling. And so when you now, and our brothers from the East, they bring their wares. They live within the laws. And we are still Nigerians. And when you hear somebody like the young boy in Oshodi Solo to be in the midst, he is now the one trying to settle the scores there, I feel sad. What is going on here? I had never, since I was a little boy going to primary school, we had our friends who went to the same primary school as us, who are from the East. Their fathers were doing one thing or the other. They were accommodated. There were tenants in my father's house. But we grew up as one. Till tomorrow, we are friends. The same with those from the North. The cattle rearers, you bring their cattle, they sell them, they make their money. And at the end of the day, before going back, they be selling what we call agumudadani or whatever, you know, and then the urine of cows. It's a very good ammonia, you know. So they go around, they sell and make their money and go. But if you are introducing this, and I didn't see those who lined up there, the so-called guys who are Hanese, you know, who of them? The Secretary General, was he there? The President General, was he there? And I am hoping that it's not another 419 from there. Let it be honest. I have spoken with them. We've told our people, I don't also want trouble in my state. I knew what I did the last time, trying to pacify the boys, to calm them down, because once you conflagrate Lagos, you know, Lagos is big, but it's small. In no time, the whole state will be on fire. And that's not what we want. He himself, we accommodated him in Lagos, the emperor. Is he from here? So if he wants to conflagrate, let him go to his place and conflagrate and leave Lagos at peace. This next election, all these stories that we will see it. But I want to ask the Igbos, don't be afraid. The Arewas, don't be afraid. Go freely, exercise your civic responsibility. It is your right as a Nigerian And the same thing happens in Kano. Like Lagos is the center, Kano does the same, because Kano is a real commercial center in the northern part of the country. And everybody else, they come in there, they live there peacefully. So I hope that these photo opportunities that they are lined up and will be replicated to the land. And on that D-Day, you know, we have now, thank God for cell phones, you know, these smartphones. They will record them, you will see them. Did you see the one in Oshodi Solo, where one hoodlum was throwing the ballots into the street, and only one policeman, as the young man was throwing the ballot papers and throwing the ballot boxes into the street, the policeman was repacking them and took one policeman, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't even arrest. And now in, you know, serious areas when they knew they were losing, they surrounded the place with military people. I was in the military. That is not the job of the military.
No, okay, against the backdrop of what you have just painted, what happened on February 23.
Yeah.
Now, your party has a way of harvesting the non-indigenous vote in Lagos. Against this backdrop of what you saw on that day, do you have faith in the system to protect people come Saturday?
You know, it's not a matter of faith now. We are all involved. We are all Nigerians. If it all goes well, our nation will rise to a higher status. It will no longer be the pariah status that we are in. And this is why I am appealing to the president, who was also my senior in the military. We all knew the role the military plays. Be distant from the venue of all these civilian activities. To stand by. Not to be even 100 yards from there. Their presence alone is a deterrence. But to be physically surrounding the collation center, it's not decent. It's not right. It is illegal. And that is my appeal. Let the people go freely and exercise their civic responsibility. And I want to assure you, we have told our people, if you commit any crime and you are arrested, you are on your own. We've appealed to them, and they have promised they will not cause any trouble. I am now raising my hand for the public that nobody will do that. If they do that, then they must have taken some brukutu or some pito overnight. And if you are arrested, you'll be on your own. But if you go quietly and you are attacked, people will see who attacked you. The cameras are there, you know, and then report accordingly. So I have faith that without any compelling force, that it must be my wish, not your own wish, it will be well in Lagos.
Well, you have raised concerns that the harassment of non-Indians voting could ricochet into another civil war. But your party and your candidate has also been accused of exploiting the situation and fanning the embers of tribalism. And talking about the non-Indians in Lagos, how well have you been able to galvanize them? I mean, Aaron made allusions to it earlier. The Indigo in Lagos have said they will vote for the APC candidate, given that they have 6 appointments in his cabinet, and that was what was released yesterday. He has promised them 6 positions in his cabinet. So how well have you galvanized that?
You know, when you look at somebody who gets up and promises you A, B, C, D, you know, having just previously inflicted a lot of injuries on you. And now says, don't worry, let me just massage your ego, and then we will give you A, B, C, D. Now, if you go to Mushi now, and go to Shodisolo now, are the people freely moving? You know, I have had a lot of meetings with the Indigbos, the leaders, and I can tell you, you call the real people, not fake people that he has assembled. And then I saw my good friend, Emeka Ofo, who is an oil magnate, leading traders, so-called traders, to see the vice president. And I said, Emeka, with your beautiful office in Abuja, you are now the one leading the traders to the vice president. No, this is, I don't even know what to call it, but that is, if he wants to see the real traders, let him come to Mushi, Oshodi Solo, and all the other area, Okota and all that, where they live peacefully and do their trading. These are the people we are reassuring them that don't get scared. You know, if you get there, you see the tension there. Not this photo trick and pretenses that I will give you. Where has he been before? Why is he threatening them? Where are those young boys going there that if you open your shop, we will burn you, we will burn the shop? We have them on recording. So what we are saying is, he who comes to equity, let him come with clean hands. Not what I will give you A, I'll give you B, I'll tell you this, I'll tell you that. If he has been truthful in the past, yeah, you can say you will believe him. He has never shown any modicum of that kind of attitude. Why should I now trust him? Why should they trust him? Let them remember, they have 4 years. He has had 20 years hand-picking people. If he can fire a sitting governor at his will, not at the wish of the governor to say, okay, let me back out. Say, you cannot go. Yes, sir. That is not governance. That is not what we want. And I plead that we allow peace to reign in this country. We had fought for the unity of this country. We believe in the indivisibility of our nation, because the more we congregate, the stronger we are. All ethnics, they have their own assets and their powers. Let's annex them for the good of our nation.
Well, we talk about unity.
Yes.
Some political analysts still argue that the PDP in Lagos remains divided and that it has reflected in the campaign strategy of the party to take power in Lagos State.
That is not the reason.
Some people add that you are not in support of Jimmy Agbaji.
Why not? If it was chosen, if I wasn't in support, if you know me, I would have said it publicly. I would have dissociated myself completely from him. You know, in any association, unless you are deceiving yourselves, all of us, we have a saying in my part of the world, we all cannot sleep and face the same direction. You have differences. You have your opinions, you have this. But once the party says, after a lot of debates and all that, this is our stand, unless you are not committed and loyal, you stand by the party decision. That was the way I was brought up. You don't start making your own things, and that's personal to you. The party position is the party position, and the party position is supreme. If you want to go it the way it is done, if you don't like the heat, get the hell out of the kitchen. Isn't that what the Oyinbo man says? But if you still want it, stick by it. Why would I say I don't want him, I don't like him? You know, I tell you what, you see a lot of people jumping ship, moving from this party to that party. Once things don't go on there well for them, they are in the other party. I have been with this party since 1998. I have seen the ups and downs. I had been in the party management for 10 years. continuously. So why would I not want something the party, when you know the laws, you don't break the laws. On the sideline, I don't want to be like my young brother, the vice president, who is professor of constitutional law. And he was physically distributing money in the market. And I don't know what, okay, he has immunity. Why Magu has not invited him to come for money laundering. And my other governor, former governor here, who drove 2 bullion vans into his house. Nobody has invited him for questioning. These are things you do that if it's in our party, would have called you to order. That is the PDP. That is a party. You know, they are in government now. We're in opposition. We have survived. Because in an African setting, to survive in opposition, it's not easy. The government in power has a lot of attractions and all that. But what is their system? Is that a party? Did you listen to what Korocha said? Saying that he was part of those who formed the APC. And therefore, he is firing the chairman of their party. A lot of cacophony of voices. Is the center holding? That's not our party. It is an experience for us to be in opposition. Because when you are on the highway perpetually and you are just cruising, be careful. Because you may hit a bump, and if you are not careful, you may not survive. We hit a bump, and that was good for us to learn the areas where you should not be as a politician.
Yeah, well, you have hit quite a lot of bombs in Lagos as a opposition for 20 years.
No, you see, now you see what is going on in their party. You know how many people are so disagreeable with the type of leadership there. Have you seen or heard about the something they call Otoge the Otoge Lagos? Have you heard that? Check those who are the members of Otoge. You know, Otoge in Yoruba means please.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. Okay? This is something that is just, why should the police go and disperse them for their meeting? Free speech. All right? But when the police reacted, they said, no, we were told that some hoodlums were trying to take over the hotel. Did the hotel people call them? So who sent the police there? It's gathering storm. And he knows for real that his time is rounding up. It's starting from within their party. Those, when I heard the names of those who went for this Otoge Lagos, I was stunned. I haven't seen them of recent to ask what is going on. But everybody can know. If you remove governor without consultation, not at his will, but at your will, and your wife is perpetually the representative of Lagos State in this, your daughter is the Yoloja of Lagos, then you are preparing your son to be the governor in 2023 and all that crap. For me, it's that is, you personalized it. Even Buhari won't do that.
All right, Chief Olabode George, I would like to, because it's not just the governorship elections that will be holding.
Right.
This Saturday, we'll also be having State House of Assembly elections, where the PDP has not fared really well. 80% of those who were in the last House of Assembly are vying to return. And you look at it, some of the PDP members that actually were in the last one, some of them have even defected to the APC.
All but one.
All but one, of course. We just only have one sitting, a PDP man who also wants to return back. What are the chances of the PDP?
No, our chances, like I said, let it be free, let it be fair. You cannot be top of the pops at all times. He manipulates the system. And in so doing, you see all those guys who are now coming,
Yes.
the Otoge Lagos.
But do you have proofs to, because you've made some grave allegations against the emperor of Babylon. Do you, does the PDP have proofs, and what have they done with those?
The only thing we can do is to cry to the public. What I'm saying, how did Olabode get thrown out? Who is being perpetually going to represent the Senate in Lagos State? Who is the Yaloja of Lagos? You still need more proof? About personalized, okay, the 2 bullion vans a day before election that went there in broad daylight. You still need proof?
He says it's his money and he has the will to spend it.
And now he has violated the money laundering ethics of this country.
Can't you prove that there was money in the bullion van? It was just pictures of bullion van. It could have been the empty bullion van.
You know the beauty of it? On the day of election, one newspaper asked him. He said, yes, it's my money. What is your business about that? I can do whatever I want to do with it. He let it off. I didn't say it. He said it. That it is his money. People were probably thinking that he was carrying ballot papers in the bullion van. He said, no, it's my money, so what's your business? I can do whatever I want. But are you allowed by law to take that much cash? What is the issue of money laundering? I didn't write the laws. So he has violated it, and he should be called to order. What about the gentleman who spoke about the Alpha Beta? I've been talking about Alpha Beta Company since 1999, or 2000. Nobody believed me until the managing director of that company came out publicly and said, this is what they've been doing. Has there been a follow-up? But do you know the beauty of it? It is my state. And there's no limitation, like the lawyers will call it, time of something of limitation. Statute of limitation to criminalities. Someday somebody will ask. No. You cannot hide it for long. Those who are part and parcel of that decision will someday, God will walk in their hearts and let off the hooks. Now, talking about those people, we fought like hell for them. They won the elections. They got in there, they stifled them. Those who couldn't stand it, jump ship. These are the kind of people, when you look at them, that are these guys more interested in representing the people? Because the real definition of a member of parliament is you are not going there on your own. You are representing your people, the interests of your people. But if you went there and you didn't consult your those who voted for you and went there, you have committed a hierarchy.
But if they look at it and say if they look at the political landscape and say that it is more conducive and they might serve the people better being in the APCs against the PDP, and they might even have an opportunity to even do more. And also look at maybe the disunity in the PDP and say...
Disunity?
And say that maybe the PDP in Lagos State is a crumbling structure. And
you know, building up a political party in Africa requires a total commitment from you and discipline. Once you be allowed to debate, it's not just one emperor throwing things down your throat. You have meetings, you discuss, and once the decision is, this is the direction we are going, if you don't follow that, then you are disloyal to the party. And there must be punishment for disloyalty. If you don't have that organization and those tenets, those tools, then your political party is not a party. So he is just there, and a little friction, you will collapse. And we can see the cacophony of voices coming out from the APC, despite the fact that they are in government at the center. One says this. Remember, did you hear about 3 governors who are suspended at this critical point? And then the chairman of their party, Oshiomhole, when I heard that thing, I felt sick. I was sad. All the sinners come over to Macedonia. Come and join APC and your sins will be forgiven. Did you hear that? You still need some evidence for me to tell
Okay,
you.
so how many? So you're not giving us the number of people that are returning to, that will come to the Senate, to House of Assembly.
We are going, that time we had about 8 of them.
Yes.
We had 8.
All right? And then all those ones jump ship.
Yes.
All right? Save a responsible, respectable, a decent young man. That it is not, in fact, they stifled him, making sure they didn't pay his allowances, and he kept coming and said, son, just continue. Because you have a belief in the party. Someday, people will recognize that, and you will get a good price for it. Remain steady on your course. Don't flip-flop, and the Almighty God will grant you. Life is not a bed of roses.
All right, so Chief, how many are returning? How many should we be expecting from the PDP?
We are contesting every seat in the assembly, and I am hoping that we will, if you judge with the result of which we won, we believe we won it. And you see when we go to court and present the result. The beauty, although our system is still not totally there yet, because you saw people physically carrying papers from every state capital, flying, carrying the papers to the collation. It's a disgrace. 21st century, with modern technology, it is a disgrace. So, but we have the results, and we are contesting this thing in the court, which means in the public domain. What did you do? What results we got from the collation center? At least there were reports in each polling unit. And so we present that for adjudication and for the public consumption. And I wish our nation well. These guys who are contesting, they've been there all around. They've gone and campaigned, and if we didn't have candidates, then you would have been worried. But every inch of the way we are contesting it. And I'm not a soothsayer, but no matter how long you fight it, if you remain steady on your course, someday the clarion call will be heard. And I tell you what, Abraham Lincoln, the father of modern America, contested 11 times. And he became the president. He didn't live long. But that short time he lived, handled the American Civil War, and that is pronouncement that democracy, the government of the people, for the people, by the people, is all entrenched. You know how many years, centuries ago, people still remembered him. That is the essence of living. And I will continue to pray for our nation. No matter what, I can go and live in Ghana, they throw me out. This is my home. And I wish every Nigerian the very best.
Okay, Chief. Lagos, over 6 million registered voters.
Yeah.
Over 5 million collected PVCs.
5.2.
5.2. Yes.
Returned.
Only 1.1 or thereabout came out to vote. Are you not worried that this much touted Lagos having the highest number of registered voters is just not flying? What happened?
You know, I'm an engineer by profession and a fellow of the Nigerian Society. during your first session, I had you talk about Boko Haram and then the insurgency in Zamfara and all that. How can we, by whatever definition, have almost the same number of voters in Borno and Lagos? We here, like I said, I reacted to it in the newspaper that somebody is lying. And I have a lot of friends from Borno State. Most of them are either in Kano or they live in Abuja. So how come that with the number of people that trooped out that Saturday, the total number of votes cast was just almost 1.1 million out of 5.2? It calls for question. And I will say, let us hold our fire. Let's see the results at the, when we come into the open court. And then we'll see. Zamfara, that is still on fire now. I remember the governor shouting. In fact, the governor of Katsina was saying that these kidnappers were kidnapping people in front of his own residence. I said, now, did you see the results from Katsina? Did you see the results? But these are speculations. Let's wait for the facts. I can't divulge that here. We will meet in the court of law. But I want to plead with Nigerians, no violence. Remember what President Jonathan said, which is now on the marble. His ambition is not worth the spilling of the blood of one Nigerian. And that should ricochet in our minds as we go on Saturday. It is wonderment where there is no insurgency, no Boko Haram, no religious fight, no nothing. And with 5.2 PVCs collected and registered, we return 1.1 million people. Professor Dianek Prof, he will have to explain. I don't know whether he's a statistician or whatever, but he's a professor. He must, whether in history or in his memoirs, and the truth will be told.
Well, but the numbers are not so different from 2015. In 2015, we had a total number of about 1.2 million coming out to vote, where you had more than 4 million collected PVCs. But let me ask you, as we wind up now, as months of campaigns wind down, what is your biggest worries going into this election?
Yeah, my biggest worry is the manipulation of the results. I am appealing to them. Let the will of the people prevail. We've been getting away with things. And I keep thanking God because I was in Form 5 in 1963 when the crisis erupted in Western region. I went to school in Western region. I remember very well the wete, the killing, the maiming, the burning of human beings, and the Agbekoyas, the complete rejection of that administration. Then every other region said, no, it's not my business, it's the business of the West. By and large, it spread and engulfed the whole nation in the Civil War. I don't want to see that again. And no nation goes through a civil war twice and survives. I plead with our people. Personal ambition should be subsumed. Let the ambition of this nation prevail. Let the will of the people. 4 years in the life of a nation is nothing. Don't perpetuate yourselves by what my friends will call tulasi, compulsorily on them. If they say they don't want you, doesn't mean you can't come back. Look at what happens in developed countries. Today is Conservative Party. Tomorrow, in another time, the Labour Party. Who goes to number 10 Downing Street? A If your party loses, you're out. And it doesn't take that time to pack and go. That is the culture we must develop. No perpetuity in anything. The will of the people is important. The will of the people must be respected. Don't truncate it. Please.
Well said, Chief Olabode George. Many thanks for coming on the show this morning. We really do appreciate your presence.
Always my pleasure.
A pleasure having you here this morning.
Thank you.
Well, it's now time for a short break on the morning show. When we return, we'll be reviewing headlines on today's newspapers from around the world. Stay with us.